Hey everyone, today I'm talking to Ani Narayan. He is the co-founder and chief growth officer at Lyzr. Ani, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Michael, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a bit about Lyzr and your role, what you guys do, because it sounds like very, very relevant in what a lot of us in marketing and beyond marketing are thinking about now.
Yeah, glad to hear. So actually, Lyzr comes from the word analyzer. We were a data analyzer product initially in 2023, and we pivoted into an agent framework or an agent builder platform because we were building on another competitor or another product or a platform. We realized actually it's super engineered, not so straightforward for like early stage developers, and it's not very easy to rapidly prototype also using the platform. So we pivoted into that. But today, if you had to describe Lyzr, we're an agent platform or an agent platform infrastructure company. So think of it as a low-code way to build agents, right? And I to the non-technical world, the way I describe it is when the world wanted to go online or want to build e-commerce websites, Shopify was like the big dog, right? So you have Shopify for building websites, and then you had a massive Shopify developer ecosystem that would help you customize those websites. And then also like plugins creation and then like App Store, like their marketplace in terms of their apps being created. And the same analogy today is if you want to build agents, you have Lyzr. And we will have lots of agent templates. We will have a developer ecosystem that will help you build those templates and customize those templates. So yeah, and I guess Michael, my role is primarily to get the brand out there. I would say product marketing, conversion optimization, running experiments, growth hacking, doing inbound, and essentially going down the funnel, right? Like, so you get users, how do you activate, how do you retain them? So I work with the product team to improve that piece as well. And just being plugged in. I mean, right from even like taking care of folks in the office, I think. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
primarily what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so your product just really, really fascinates me. I think that this idea of AI agents is really just in its infancy, and there's a lot of buzz around this right now. And so normally in these conversations we focus mostly on the growth marketing piece, but in your case, I think it's relevant for our audience as well to kind of better understand
Yeah.
how they might be able to use your product or a product like yours, a platform like yours, to help them set up these AI agents and automate more of their workflows. Can you give maybe some use cases of how that would work for a marketing organization?
I mean, I have a deck. I mean, I know we haven't really prepped, but I can literally screen share and show you a bunch of use cases if that's exciting for you. Uh,
Well,
but
maybe
we
you can
have,
just kind of talk through some examples of what you've seen be successful in the marketing
yeah,
space.
for sure. So I think the way to think about agents is the first areas where agents started becoming super relevant was actually marketing and then sales, because people aren't so scared about marketing data being private. They're like, okay, I can put that out in the world. I can have an agent, iterate on that content. So obviously there were tools like I would say Writesonic, Simplified that came out early on, and then they were doing a lot of like I would say AI-led content generation. But agents in 2023 and 2024 has become about autonomous or automation of content creation plus repurposing, let's say, right? So in the marketing world, what you're seeing, take any workflow, you can power it by an agent. So something as simple as you want to create a blog, you can have an agent do that, connect it to a WordPress, and it would take it live. And you could literally have, let's say, one of the applications that we're seeing is people are like, hey, I want to autonomously create content on what's trending, convert into a blog, repurpose that into multiple formats for social. And I've connected all my social accounts to it. So you're seeing an SEO agent, you're seeing programmatic SEO, like how do I create landing pages at scale? You're seeing blog creation, you're seeing social content creation. And then also, like, if you had to take tools like HeyGen and Eleven Labs, which is like I can create video content, but let's say Michael's avatar, right? What if I could automate that at scale, where it's like take a trending topic, convert to a YouTube script, put that into HeyGen, add my 11 labs content to it, and then it's like connected to LinkedIn. I can take that live, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like the one person agency is actually very possible. And I think the way it'll start today is Michael could essentially help companies do that automation of workflow for marketing specifically and charge them just for templates, charge them for the service itself. And then in the future, you're the one person, I guess, entrepreneur that's kind of running this organization. But those are some of the use cases you're seeing in marketing. But you name it. I think the use cases that come to us. So we had a flagship product called Scott, inspired by Scott Galloway, which we launched in 2024, and that
Awesome.
essentially was autonomous content creation of blog. Like you add a keyword and then it creates like a premium blog, right? Because I think today most content gets created, but adding the nuances, so like no paragraphs more than 3 lines, add tabulations, have 4 to 5 internal links, have like 5 external links, make sure my content is like in the branding guidelines, right? So you have a premium content being created and then it's being repurposed for a social, like which is a LinkedIn or a Medium or a Twitter, things like that. So that's kind, and then people come and say, okay, I want to customize that where, hey, I want it in multiple languages. I
Mm-hmm.
want it in, let's say, I want to connect to specific platforms, or where you, in terms of research, what you're looking at, can you look at the specific sources in terms of research? So I don't know if I just went like
No,
very
that sounds great.
quickly into it,
That's
but
really
at a,
helpful.
yeah, but I was just going to say at a high level, you have agents for every vertical within marketing today.
That is so cool to think about like what that future could look like. Let's talk about your own growth marketing that you're doing at Lyzr. Are you guys using your own agents effectively to run your marketing, and how's that going? What are some of the wins and some of the challenges that you've seen?
Let's actually fundamentally define what an agent is, because I think there can be like some
Hmm.
uh, misunderstandings around it. So imagine you have like a central core place, or something which, like, I think the analogy is like driverless cars, right? So today a lot of the SaaS tools is I add an input like I'm booking an Uber. I kind of pick the drop location, I pick the pickup location, and then it uses Google Maps to get to a certain place. Agents is I just have to literally be like, hey, I want to get home, and then automatically gets to know where you are, knows where home is, and then it takes you there in a driverless car. So the in the technical world, the way to think about agents is it's able to do tasks autonomously, right? So if you said, okay, Michael tells the agent, do research about Lyzr, but look at these 5 different sources, the agent is smart enough to say, oh, source one had more information than source two, and I will prioritize that information, give it to you in a format like that, right? Or picking specific information. So I think coming back to what you were saying, Michael, so we have agents for, like, we have a Twitter content creator, we have a LinkedIn content creator, we have a programmatic SEO content creator. So, like, all content creation, we have agents, single task agents. And today, what we essentially end up doing is all the content that gets created, we copy it and then we place it on the platform. We're not still doing the autonomous side, we're doing the human in loop before it goes live. Because there's still the sense of you need to kind of make sure it's in the
Hmm.
tone and style of that you, right?
That's what I was going to
Um,
ask about because the conversations that I've been having a lot with other growth leaders around this topic is how do you ensure that the level of quality and specifically that sort of authentic brand voice and creating that empathy, the human empathy that oftentimes when let's say you go to ChatGPT and you ask it to create an article, yes, it's going to create an article, but it's not necessarily of the highest quality. It's not necessarily in your brand voice, and oftentimes it sort of has a bit of a robotic feel to it. So
yeah.
what are you guys doing to, and let's talk about, your own marketing here. Like what are you guys doing to combat that? Sounds like you're sort of including a human layer in there. And then also in our earlier conversation, you mentioned that, the cutting through the noise, right? Like how do you set yourself apart from in such a busy AI tool space? So there's got to be some sort of unique elements, and are you feeding that through the agent, or is that the role of the human to sort of add that in?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, there's a framework to also think about not just marketing, but any GTM strategy with AI today. What I call it is more like an A plus A dash equal to one. And if A is AI and A dash is human, what's the combination that you want to put together in the workflow, which kind of puts like the 100% usage of both AI and humans, right? And I think with marketing, maybe you can get the agent to maybe do 90% of the heavy lifting, right?
Hmm.
Which is you can actually get to a point where this is the way Michael speaks, this is the tone, this is the content Michael has created in the past, right? These are our branding colors, these are the images I want you to use. So you could add all that input, but the last 10% is still the human going, hey, you know what? I think some parts of it didn't like line up to how I would have sounded. So you edit those pieces.
Yeah.
But productivity is now off the charts, right? Like the today the expectation is we should put out 25, 30 articles no matter what as one person. And that's like one-fourth your job. Like our content person today, she writes 25 articles a month. She does the newsletter. She does social for us. She does what else? She does PR for us. All of that she's able to do because of, I guess, this AI-led channels, if you want to call it, right?
Hmm.
And I think with sales, today you have agents that can automate like research about Michael, send out customized emails by looking at Michael's LinkedIn and Google and all that. And then once Michael responds, can also do follow-ups. But you still want the last mile to be like, oh, Michael got on a call with Ani and then spoke.
Yeah.
Like I saw a video, I don't want to name the name of the company, but they tried to say, oh, you know what, my whole calendar is full. And I'm going to send an AI version of me as an avatar to speak. And it just felt, like I lost my last connection of trust with you, I
Yeah.
think, maybe, right? So,
Yeah.
so I feel like you can be smart about where you want to put the AI layer into it.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah, like you said, how do you leverage the agent, and what is the point where you say, okay, this is the last 10% that I'm going to do, or that I'm going to have, one of my full-time team members do, to keep that human connection. Ultimately, the phrase I hear a lot is people buy from people.
Yeah.
But the earlier part of that, the way I think about this oftentimes is, I think it's much more exciting for a human to do things that are not as tedious, not as boring, and that ultimately have more to do with the stuff that we're doing right here. Like we're connecting from person to person, sharing our
Yeah.
experiences, and it adds so much color to, certainly to my day. It's always wonderful to have these experiences. I would, not find this very interesting if I were talking to an AI avatar. But
Yeah.
the process of finding people to talk to, whether it's for these types of interviews, or for sales, like you're saying, yeah, that's just
Yeah.
generally historically has been such kind of boring and tedious work. So yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah. And even like the content that we're going to create now, you can pass it through Opus clips and it'll create multiple clips. You can pass it through, I don't know if there is a specific tool from an editing standpoint, but there are enough tools for you to not worry about the post editing also as much. And then again, the last mile, you bless it with a human and then you take it live.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Okay, so how are you? You said you have one person basically kind of being the spider in the web of all of your, or a lot of your marketing activities. How are you measuring performance? So, you've got content going out the door, you've got it on multiple channels. How are you measuring what that's driving for you? What kind of success that's driving?
So we obviously have some like big revenue goals for this quarter and the next one. And I mean, it finally comes down to MQLs, obviously. So for us, uh, we have actually a pretty big GTM team for a startup, right? Like we may be 45 people, but like sales is maybe 4 people, marketing is like almost 10 people.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and and it's very flipped. And maybe that's also maybe an advantage, which is we advantage is in we're able to get one person dedicated for one channel. That's one way to look at it, right? And a big chunk of us are in India. So I guess there's a dollar arbitrage that you can tap into also.
Hmm.
Now, how do we measure performance? We don't spend as much. Maybe we're spending like $5,000 a month right now. But I think in terms of 37% of our leads come from SEO, 25% comes from brand, which I think is an assisted attribution to LinkedIn. right?
Hmm.
And then LinkedIn, the direct leads from LinkedIn is maybe like 2-3%. And then there is the other pieces which we do, which is product hunt. There's some marketplaces, right? There's affiliate, there's partners, there's all the other big
Yeah.
piece that comes into to that. But our goal is maybe 25% of the MQLs are pre-qualified, which hit our mark of needs to be more than like 50 people, this kind of revenue, right? But we're measuring, and I think there's a 5% conversion for every MQL to a customer. So for us, it's coming down to, okay, this is the revenue. Now to hit this revenue, this is the ratio of visits to MQLs that I end up getting, right? And then from MQL to customer, let's say there's a percentage. And then based on that, we're trying to figure out what the spends need to be and what the MQL costs are. But today, let's say an average lead that we spend is between $50 to $70, like a marketing qualified lead.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. I mean, it sounds like you've got a really good process set up. So are you measuring when you think about your content, are you measuring back to individual pieces of content? And if so, how are you then kind of giving feedback to the AI agent to say like, oh yeah, this content worked well versus this content isn't really, contributing much to our pipeline?
We don't have that part. That part is actually done by humans completely. We don't have an agent that does the full loop, which might be interesting for us to think about, which is, hey, all this content's put out. Now measure the analytics and tell us like, okay, how can we improve this? What do we need to repurpose? What do we need to like, what is the new content we need to create? All that's actually still done a little manually, like downloading the data from SEMrush, downloading the data
Yeah.
from Google Analytics, measuring bounce rates on each VLOOKUPs to the SEO content, and then the content that's downloaded from SEMrush, and then be like, okay, this is what we need to repurpose or create. Because we still haven't figured a way out to move away from SEMrush. I think
Hmm.
there's still some dependence on tools because it's still scraping is still expensive, and I think
Yeah.
they've done a fantastic job pulling all that info out, right?
Yeah.
But we have, I think, content-wise, I think the way we think about content, at least, is so we have lots of products, right? And it can be like, hey, do you want to dominate SEO for each and every product,
Hmm.
which leads to the platform, right? Or do you want to dominate keywords around the platform, right? So, like, because we're in the agent space, it's like we're actually not dominating right now AI agents or agent frameworks. I think we're trying to dominate saying, oh, you're looking for a marketing agent, you're looking for a customer
Yeah.
support agent, you're looking for a sales agent. And then from there, oh, okay, the platform, because a lot of people are not very technical. They don't even know what an agent framework is. And why should they, right? Like, they're
Yeah.
like, I want to automate this workflow. I want to maybe get this use case going. So yeah, and how do I do that? But tell me, actually, Michael, how are you? I mean, you run a SEO shop yourself, right?
Yes. So, by the way, do you have a few extra minutes? Because we're running up on time here, so and I want to make sure I answer your question.
Very good. No, no,
So
very good.
awesome. So yeah, we actually are morphing into what we call SXO or search experience optimization, where we're blending kind of more traditional SEO or what people think of as SEO with conversion rate optimization and infusing conversational data. And what I mean by that last piece is sales, customer service conversations, tickets, which kind of goes just beyond what we were talking about earlier when it comes to like brand voice, tone, colors, those types of things. Because what we find is that there is a lot of richness in the sales and customer service conversations that companies are having. And so by infusing that back into content generation or creation on the SEO side and the CRO side, you get a much better end product. So that's the direction that we're going in. But these types of conversations are super helpful because it allows me to see, hey, like what is actually like where is this going? How might we integrate some of these types of agents, whether it's for our own marketing or for our customers, honestly, because
Yeah.
oftentimes you guys provide the platform, right? But like there's also the way, and this is company specific. Like some companies have the resources or have the mindset to say, hey, we're going to go to Lyzr and we're just going to get the platform and like implement all this stuff. But there's a lot of other companies out there that kind of don't have the resources or feel like I don't really know how to do this. Let me get a company like ours to come and help and implement these types of things, right? So we could come and help integrate or activate some of these agents or suggest like, hey, maybe you should talk to Lyzr and use some of these processes. But I always am on the lookout for the latest, sort of technologies and trends so that we can also be on the forefront because that's part of our value add and our role is not implementation, it's being strategic. And like
Yeah.
when somebody comes to us, we need to be the ones, we need to always be like the product hunt where they're coming to us and we're saying, hey, have you heard about this new tool? Because and we've tried it and it works really well. That's what I see as our role. So yes, traditionally we've done SEO, in all the sort of traditional ways. But that space is evolving and morphing quite quickly. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're trying to be at the forefront of
I
the
have
space.
a I have a like a white space idea for you where you and I can tell you where the gap is in the market right now with agents, which actually maybe fits really well with your core skill. There are lots of tools that do the low level well, like the
Hmm.
middle band, which is you wanted to create a good blog, a decent blog, it can. But like a backlink style blog, no tool is doing that. No
Hmm.
SEO tool, which is like, short, crisp lines, lots of images, table of contents, tabulations, right?
Hmm.
And you could bring that nuance and build an agent out connected with like a lovable, put your URL, and then you could actually sell the agent for like $19 a month. Or you could push your own, like let's say you're doing SEO for a client, put the keyword in, it'll create a premium blog, and then you could just do more for the client. But in general, Michael, like AI is doing this work really well, and we need humans to kind of make it exceptional. But I
Yep.
think if we spend time just making AI exceptional, then that delta in the market you can really tap into. Programmatic SEO also. There are actually some interesting programmatic SEO tools we have tested also where you want to create hundreds of landing pages a month. And it costs like, let's say $499 to make 100 landing pages. And it's
Hmm.
$50 for every additionally. Now, let's say I can do 50, so 600. So let's say I can do 1,000 pages for $700, right? A month, right? But how do I make sure it doesn't get flagged by Google? How do I make
Hmm.
sure the content is super like tailored for every keyword? Those pieces, if you can have an agent which is, hey, this is the output. You have a reviewer agent that makes sure it's to the level that you want. Then
Yep.
that's where you can. And I think there's a lot of room for people to do that across the board, not just marketing. And I
Yep.
think
Then
that you should explore that. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think just like with right now, like you're saying, we have that human layer of sort of quality control and infusing the humanness, which I think infusing humanness to a degree it will probably remain with humans for a while. But certainly that quality control piece, and just making it just that bit better. I think combining multiple agents in this sort of feedback loop I think is the way to go, or at least for now, like I think that makes a lot of sense. But hey, like I know we're going over time here. I want to ask you one more question, sort of to round this out, which is if you could give people some advice around authors, gurus that people should know, that people should follow. Can you recommend two or three?
I listened to the growth. I mean, the growth podcast. I mean, the 20 growth. I mean, Harry Stebbings has like three versions, right? He has 20 VC, 20 growth, 20 product. So whoever he interviews in terms of these growth leaders, where they've taken, let's say, the last one that I heard was, I think they interviewed the CGO of RAM that took RAM to like a billion or 10 billion in terms of value. But so that one podcast is actually pretty good. I follow a lot of founders in the AI space on LinkedIn today. So, I mean, Andrew Ng talks very technical. Then I follow the founder of Hugging Face. I follow the founders of Claude. Uh, yeah, there's some folks like we did a lot of like we like there's somebody from Snowflake. I think if you look at the stack that we have, basically there's NVIDIA, there's AWS, there's data folks, there's LLM folks, there's agent folks, right? So almost like there are folks in like every layer, like all the big guys like Satya Nadella and obviously your Hens, what's his name? How can I forget his name? Henson, the NVIDIA guy,
Ah, yes.
Jerry
Oh my
Henson,
gosh. Yeah,
Wang
he's,
Henson.
I forget his name too, but I have the picture in my mind.
Yeah, they talk about mission, right? Like they talk a lot about like the top stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I even Shiva, just from my who started Lyzr. I mean, he's a good guy to follow. I mean, he talks a lot of like good technical things as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, I could put a few names together, Michael, and give you as well.
Yeah, I would love that. That's awesome. Well, Ani, thank you so much for joining. It's been really helpful and insightful. Great conversation. So, one last question for you: if people wanted to reach out to you, if they wanted to know more about Lyzr or your own background and experience, what's the best way for people to reach out?
I think on LinkedIn, I mean, if you can, my name, essentially, if you can find me on LinkedIn, connect with me. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Otherwise, my email is ani at lyzr.ai.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And then obviously the website's lyzr.ai. So if you can find us there, I think that would be great.
Awesome. All right. Well, that basically concludes our session here. So thank you again so much. And so what we'll do is we'll package this up. It's probably going to be a few weeks. We've got actually I have six of these this week. So we
Nice.
have yeah, people have been really excited about it. So it's awesome to see the response. And so we'll have a few weeks. We're planning to basically release one every week. So we're a few weeks out at this point, but yeah, we'll package it up, send it to our mailing list, send it to you, give you a shout out on LinkedIn, obviously, and then feel free to, repost, forward, whatever you want to do with it. Yeah, so we'll definitely be in touch, and yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on what you guys are doing because I think there could be some interesting overlap in kind of maybe using some AI agents even for us internally. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Is there any way I can help you as well? What are you exploring these days? Yeah, is it clients? Is it agents? What's running through your mind?
Yeah, well, I mean, what's really on my mind is, frankly, how do we take more of the well, for lack of a better term, what I called boring and tedious work that more junior people are doing, and put AI agents in place to replace that essentially, and have these people elevate what they're doing on a day-to-day basis into more strategic thinking.
Yeah.
Because I think like if there's something that is repetitive and that is basically the same process every single time that we work with someone, why would we have a human do that? That doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'll show you some examples. I mean, I can share some links with you.
Yeah.
These are some things I'm building internally where I can just place a blog post and I'll convert to a YouTube script into a LinkedIn or Twitter. Like, let me show you how that looks. Right. So let's say I've written, I don't know, if this is the content. I can just like take this, put that here, right? Select conversation. I want 10 or 12 tweets. Actually, let's do this. Conversational, let's hit this. Generate. And then you can essentially, ooh, why did that happen? Okay, after. Am I not logged in? Oops. But what I want to show you, Michael, is if it gives me an issue, then oh, that sucks. I am logged in. That's weird. But it'll basically create like a blog post here, and then
Hmm.
you can just click on LinkedIn, and then it'll automatically take me to my LinkedIn, and I can just post it.
Yeah, this is
Right.
really
So
powerful. I think it might make sense for us to just set up a separate session, whether with you or who else you want to put me in touch with on your team, because I'm very interested in using some of this tech
yeah.
to help us.
Yeah, happy to. Can you write a LinkedIn post on SEO agents? So what I've done here is I have an unique LinkedIn creator agent, and then I have a description. You can pick the LLM that you want to power this content, and then add a role, add some instructions. And then after that, I can show you on Slack as well, maybe. But these are examples of some content I've written,
Yeah.
right? And then it should essentially create an agent. And then once it creates an agent, I could be like, oh, on Slack, send this to the marketing channel. And it should be able to do that. Right. So let's say this is some content. It has some latency because you want to humanize the content. So these are things that you can just add quickly to build an agent. Right. And let's say it's Slack, send this to marketing. Oh, can you send this to hashtag marketing channel on Lyzr AI? Oops. Man, just looking back, can you send this to marketing? It has taken my previous, but essentially building this agent, all these tools are also connected to it, Michael. So like, for example, I'll show you. The whole point of this is you can connect to Slack, Twitter, Gmail, Google Calendar, and then any content that's created, it can automatically connect to those tools. And then after that, you can just tell the agent, hey, send it to Notion, send it to Twitter, things like that.
Yeah. No, this looks really powerful. Let's set something up. I'd love to kind of dig deeper into how this might help us, but also maybe help some of our customers. Because I think this is frankly where it's going. But that's why you started this company. So
yeah, I mean, it's a good space to be. I mean, and great for you guys also. I think there's a lot of money right now in services.
100%.
Companies. Yeah. So yeah, if you can double down, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.